What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another Wednesday night with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast. We stream live every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Shoot us a like, shoot us a comment. Make sure you lock in. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon. He'll be joining the show shortly. In the meantime, in between time, we're gonna get to the question. Shout out to the comment section. It's booming. Got a lot of stuff to get into as well as NFL picks. Let me make sure we get those scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Last week's picks were all right. For anybody who tell last week, we did pretty good. 9-7 against the spread. The biggest losses of the weekend probably were, let's see, what we had last weekend. I mean, Giants Pats on Monday night hurt us. We had Broncos -6 on Sunday night. They won, but they didn't cover. So that was a loss. We were wrong about the Rams, and there were some things we should have considered. I talked about that on Monday. We were wrong about the Colts that weekend. We were wrong about the Ravens. So it was outright losers. It wasn't really the spread itself that hurt us as much. Obviously, in that Commanders game and that Giants-Pats game, we thought the spread would go differently there. We knew who would win, but we just didn't have the spread right. But ultimately, we back. We're going to be better this week. We got none but winners again this week. The 9-leg parlay was okay. Like I said, if you played it all together, it didn't hit. But if you took some of the things out of there, it definitely hit. I love the Jets money line last week. That hit. That was one of the teams that I liked. They were getting the 2.5 points. And like I said, take a money line. That covered. David Montgomery, anytime touchdown, hit on Thanksgiving. Xavier Worthy, 4 catches on Thanksgiving, hit. Chase Brown, over 3.5 catches on Thanksgiving, hit. Devin H. 70 yards, hit. But we were off on a couple other things. The Lions money line, I was skeptical about it at the time when we talked about it. Tripp wanted to take him at -3. I said, if we're going to take him money line. That didn't quite work out. But ultimately, it was a good week. Good best place. We back at it this week, man. Let's get to some of the questions that we got and comments in the comment section. Just a reminder, guys, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. All right, again, we're going to be back on Monday, 7 p.m. with Real Fans, Real Talk, and then we're live every Wednesday. We're getting down to it, man. We're in the thick of things. We got boxing coming up real soon. Got a great fight this week if you're a boxing fan. Make sure you lock in Roach versus Pitbull Cruz. It's going to be a very, very good one. I'll save my predictions for the end of the show, how I think it's going to play out. But it's going to be a really, really good fight. Something to pay attention to this weekend. We're in the thick of things with college football playoffs. I know somebody's probably going to ask about Lane Kiffin, so we got to get into that whenever that question comes up. And NFL and NBA. But let's get to it. Shout out to Kyrie. It was the first comment of the night, so that's where we're going to start. And shout out to everybody on Instagram. As I always say, if you guys are commenting a question on Instagram, I'll get to those in a second, man. Just bear with me. I see people coming in and out the live on Instagram as well. Will the Patriots win the AFC? So they went on Monday night, 2 nights ago. They've got the inside track right now at 11-2, which is just crazy. I mean, they go into their bye week. They've been phenomenal. Obviously, they've surpassed any expectations. I think they will. Now, I know they got like a half-game lead over the Broncos, who are 10-2. The difference is the Broncos have a little tougher schedule down the stretch. The Patriots' toughest game left is going to be against Buffalo after their bye week. That'll be their toughest game. Outside of that, they're going to be favored in their other 3 games to end the season. I think the Patriots are going to win the AFC regular season. Now, come playoff time, that's a different scenario because I think styles make fights, as I always say, and matchups determine a lot of things come playoff time. Would I be confident in the Patriots playing Buffalo for a 3rd time in the playoffs? That's where it gets tricky, right? Would I be confident if they had to go up against this Denver defense, especially if that Patriot left side of the offensive line is still hurt? That's where it gets tricky. But right now, I think they are going to at least win the AFC for the regular season and have the number 1 seed, make everything come through Foxborough. Come playoff time, we're going to have to revisit that, Kyrie. Because like I said, I think styles make fights and matchups can change. And when a team is preparing for you and they know what your weakness is in a playoff matchup, that's a different setting. But for right now, I think the Patriots look great. They look like the most balanced team in the NFL. They look like the most well-rounded team in the NFL. And as I've highlighted for several weeks, though I don't think they have the one guy that stands out. Drake May, I know he's moving up the favorites for MVP. But when you look at them top to bottom, it's just a collective of good talent. They don't have the all world receiver, though Stephon Diggs is good, but they don't have the all world receiver. They don't have the all world running back. They don't have the all world defensive player. Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the game, but they don't have an elite, one elite edge rusher. It's a collective. And with Mike Vrabel, he's just utilizing talent. So I like them a lot. Like I said, I think they're going to be the number one seed. We're going to have to revisit come playoff time, though, what we think of them. Shout out. This was also Kyrie. Takeaway from Jackson Dart versus the Patriots on Monday night. Jackson Dart got to play smart. He took a couple big hits in that game, specifically that sideline hit that everybody was talking about. He didn't throw the ball well. Obviously, a part of that is just the Patriots are a good defensive team, and the Patriots take away the running game so well that they force you to throw into some tough coverages. They're going to disguise a lot of things. So it was a tough matchup. I know it was his first game back after a couple of weeks missing with the concussion, but he's got to play smarter. If I had to give it a grade, I would probably give it somewhere like a B minus C in that range. He had one or two drives where he looked like he was pretty confident, but for the most part, he looked confused. He looked like a rookie quarterback in a primetime game on the road. And again, he's got to protect himself. He's taking too many big hits. I know there was a lot made of Brian Daboll and the play calling and him running the ball too much. This is a new coordinator. This is a new coach. This is supposed to be a new system. He's got to protect himself. You got to get out of bounds on that sideline play. I didn't like the hit, but it's also on him to get out of bounds. Let's see what we got here. Shout out to Ron. Who's winning the Micah Parsons trade? I like this. This is a conversation that's been ongoing all season. I have remained my position that Jerry Jones was not as crazy as everybody made him out to be. I think Jerry Jones did a hell of a job of remaking his defense really, really quickly. And I think that on the surface, it's easy to judge Jerry Jones and say, well, you gave up an all-pro defensive end for a Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle in Kenny Clark. But they got the 2 first, and they were able to flip one of those first to get Quentin Williams. And so now when I look at the way they've remade this defense with Quentin Williams, with Kenny Clark, Logan Wilson, now that they're getting healthy in the secondary, their defense looks the way that Jerry wants them to look, stout against the run, decent against the pass. They get a big test tomorrow night, Detroit. That's going to be a big test. But I like what they've been doing. On the flip side, you got Green Bay, one of the favorites to come out of the NFC. They haven't been great this year. I think they've been good defensively, inconsistent offensively. If I had to say who's winning the trade, I would lean towards Green Bay right now, just because they do have the better record. They're more of a sure thing to not only make the playoffs, but possibly have a playoff run in them. But I think this trade really can't be graded until we see what happens after the draft and free agency. Because if Jerry is able to land their elite pass rusher in the draft, they got 2 first-round picks this year. But if he's able to land the elite pass rusher there, or if he's able to get the elite pass rusher in free agency, and then he would have been able to remake that defense in 1 year, then I got to give him his credit and say, yeah, he did the right thing, because as opposed to giving $40 million to one guy on the edge, you were able to now get all of the pieces to make this a more complete defense. So as of right now, Ron, I'm going to say Green Bay is slightly winning the trade. They have a better record and they're better in the moment. But this is definitely a conversation we're going to have to revisit come the offseason after we see what the Cowboys are able to do with their 2 first-round picks and with their free agency. That's when we'll be able to get a better idea. If Green Bay wins it all this year, yeah, Green Bay looks like they won the trade because they were able to land the elite pass rusher that possibly gets them over the hump. But if they don't win the Super Bowl, if let's say Green Bay makes the playoffs but has a first round or second round exit, then what do we say? Do we say Jerry was right? Do we say Jerry realized that Micah cannot be the difference maker to get you over the hump and Jerry did the right thing? Only time will tell. So that's why I say it's still incomplete. As of right now, Green Bay is. Let's revisit that come August before next season to see if we feel the same way. Shout out to Ren on Instagram. He said, in regards to the Cowboys, I love what they're doing, but I think it's a little too late. We have to win out. You're right. The Cowboys are in a very tough situation. They got off to a slow start. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb went out. They were trying to figure out some things on that defense early on in the season when the defense looked really bad and anybody and everybody was able to run on them. But Thursday night, Ren, Thursday night might be a playoff style game, not only for the Cowboys, but for the Lions. The loser of that game is probably out. The loser of that game might not have enough time to make up the difference in the wild card because right now the Cowboys do have an outside shot of winning the division. They need the Eagles to continue to fall apart. I don't know if that's going to happen. And as you can see with my picks at the bottom of the screen, I think the Eagles are going to beat the Chargers this week on Monday Night Football. I think the Chargers are just so banged up right now on the offensive line. Justin Herbert has a broken bone in his left hand. He just had surgery, so we don't know how that's affecting him with being able to hold and grip the football. So I like the Eagles from that aspect. And you guys know I've said the Eagles have been probably the most inconsistent and most frustrating team of the season. I'm not a fan of what the Eagles have been doing, but I just think in this particular matchup, in this moment, it makes sense to take the Eagles over the Chargers. But with that being said, in terms of the Cowboys, Ren, after the Lions, you got the Vikings, you got the Chargers again, who are really banged up on the offensive line, and now their quarterback is hurt. You get the Commanders, you get the Giants. The schedule is very favorable for the Cowboys right now, but you got to get past Thursday night. If you win tomorrow night, the Cowboys are going to be favored in 3 of their last 4 games. They're going to be favored against the Vikings, which is a home game, against the Commanders. Yes, that's on the road, but the Commanders ain't shit. The Commanders ain't got nothing going on right now. And the Commanders have moments. They have spurt moments. Now, I know what people are going to say. It's second to last week of the season. That's a Christmas Day game. The Commanders will look to play spoiler. And it's very possible the Commanders will want to spoil things for the Cowboys. But if you're the Cowboys, you're still going to be favored in that game. You're going to be favored on a Thursday afternoon game in D.C. with potentially the playoffs on the line. And then their last game of the season is against the Giants. They're going to be favored in that game. After this Detroit game, which Detroit is favored by 3, after that game, the Cowboys, I think, are going to be favored in 3 of their last 4. So I think that the Cowboys are in still great shape, Brian. Shout out to Will Gordon. Will, give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready. As always, Wednesday night, the Sanchez Show, the Opinionated Wednesday. Got my brother Will Gordon with me. Will, what's good, bro?
What it do, baby? How y'all feeling out there? How's everybody's week going? Hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving. Hope y'all ready to get the Christmas season going and, kick it with us on this happy hump day. What's good?
Absolutely, bro. The comment section is buzzing tonight. We got a lot of questions and comments in there. We already got some coming through on Instagram as well. As always, shout out to the supporters, man. Y'all be rocking with us. Y'all be fucking with us heavy. I was just answering this question for Ron. I don't know if you want to get in on this. Who's winning the Micah Parsons trade? I don't know if you heard what I said. To me, I said, right now, Green Bay's winning that trade. They've got the better record. They're in better position to not only make the playoffs, they could win their division. And we expect them to make more noise than the Cowboys are going to make. But I still think the trade is incomplete. What do you think, though?
Yeah. It's funny that question came up. Shout out to Ron. Was it Ron? Shout out to Ron as always. I was thinking about that trade earlier because I was looking at this week's game with Green Bay and who they got this week?
Green Bay has hold on, I wrote it down here.
Dallas?
Hold on. No, Detroit.
No, Dallas got Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit got Dallas. Green Bay got the Bears this week.
Yeah, the Bears. Okay. And the Bears, because I was looking at that game, for financial reasons. And the Bears, they hot. They hot right now. They probably the hottest team in the NFC. But I think this is the kind of game that you traded Mike. This is why you traded for Micah Parsons. Like, this is that kind of game where you can see him disrupt that Chicago offense to the level of where, like, you still got a young QB in Caleb, but I could see Micah Parsons being a dude that you might see 2 sacks, some batted balls, pause, and some real disruptive plays from him. And this is why you trade for a guy like him, is these kind of games like this week coming up. So far, I mean, Dallas pretty much got to win out to make the playoffs. If we're looking at it as a this short-sighted view, right now, Micah Parsons has changed the look of that defense in Green Bay single-handedly, and they're in a better position than the Cowboys, in my opinion, going forward with Micah Parsons. I'm gonna say right now, in week 14 of the year that it happened, I'm gonna say that Green Bay has won the trade. But also, I'm gonna say going forward, it's certain guys that you just don't give up on, or you don't give up. Period. And from what we've seen from Micah Parsons so far in Green Bay, since he's got acclimated to that defense, he's one of those guys that you don't give up. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, to me, the reason I say it's incomplete is again because if let's say hypothetically, this just play devil's advocate, because I do agree with you. This is why you trade for Michael Parsons if you're Green Bay. It's for pivotal games in December and going forward, right, into the playoffs. But if Green Bay, let's say, gets to the second round of playoffs and they don't win, is it a loss for Dallas in the trade? Because I don't think none of us had Dallas making real noise this year anyway. They collected assets. And the reason I say it's an incomplete trade is we got to see what Dallas does now having 2 first-round picks. If Dallas is able to draft a top-notch pass rusher or even go get a top-notch pass rusher in free agency, then the trade looks completely different because Jerry would have been able to get Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and still get the pass rusher to remake the defense. Now, if Green Bay wins it all this year, without a doubt, we got to say Green Bay won the trade. They went and got the guy who was the difference maker. And to your point, Micah Parsons on the year, there have been points this year where he's been quiet, but I got to give him his credit. Last 3 weeks, he's got 6 sacks. He's starting to make noise. He's got 13 sacks on the year. So it's been a quiet season for him in terms of he's not getting the attention that Myles Garrett is getting, obviously, because Myles Garrett is about to break the sack record. But Micah Parsons is sitting at 13 sacks with 4 games to go. It's very possible that he gets to 17 or 18 sacks on the year and looks exactly the way we thought he would all year. A guy who's potentially a defensive player of the year, high sack numbers, and is causing havoc. I just think the trade is incomplete because we got to see how this, not only this season plays out, but then how the offseason plays out. If we're going to say in the moment, Green Bay absolutely won the trade. Green Bay has a better record. Green Bay's defense is better. And Michael Parsons has been very productive this year. But let's not forget when these 2 teams played, even with Michael Parsons on the field, the Cowboys put up 41 points on their defense.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to, like I said, I don't think Jerry was as crazy as people thought. And maybe I'm giving Jerry too much credit. I think Jerry viewed it as we can't afford to give him $40 million, especially not over the amount of time that he wanted. Because remember, the big issue wasn't how much Michael Parsons was going to make per year. It was really about that extra year on the contract. We can't give him $40 million if we're still going to be a bad defense with our ceiling being, we might only win 9 games anyway. It just doesn't make sense. For Green Bay, it makes perfect sense because Green Bay is close enough. Green Bay's been in the playoffs the last couple of years. This was their Reggie White move right here. This was their opportunity to get over the hump.
Now, I do not know the answer to this, so I'm asking you this genuinely. Of the games that the Cowboys lost this year, how many of them were within a score?
We could look back. Opening night against the Eagles, they lost by 4. That was the season
after the trade. After the trade.
Yeah, opening night. Remember, Micah got traded. Yeah, Micah got traded before the season started.
That's right. Yeah. So
Eagles opening night, they lose by 4. That's the game that's highlighted by CeeDee Lamb having 5 drops.
Mm-hmm.
They have the tie with the. They didn't lose to the Packers. They have the tie. They lose 30-27 against the Panthers. That was in Carolina. They lose. Yeah, that's really the only 1-score loss. Every other game they've lost has been by more than 7. They got 2 games where they lost by 1 score. The opening night against the Eagles, and then in Carolina, that was week 5, week 6.
And so, in the short-sighted scope of those 2 games that he could have been the difference in.
Possibly.
You know what I mean? And now Dallas, I'm just speaking hypothetically. That's what we do 90% of sports. Right. And now they're in a position where they got to win out basically to make the playoffs. So did that trade directly impact your ability to make the playoffs this season?
Maybe.
And if so, then you lost the trade, because as we've seen time and time again, this is just because you did something this year don't mean it's going to carry over the next year.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So if you had an opportunity to make the playoffs this year and you don't, and then maybe next year you don't either, then you look back at saying, well, maybe if we had made the playoffs last year, we could have built on that, and so it really lends to what you said is like it's incomplete, but short-sighted wise,
Yeah,
right
short-sighted.
now, Green Bay got that.
I agree because I said, and I've said all along when we've had these discussions, even with Micah Parsons, realistically, what was the ceiling of this Cowboys team? Like, if I'd have told you before the season they signed Micah Parsons, would you have said the Cowboys were going to win 9 games, 8 games?
See, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think their ceiling was changing. Now, like to your credit, if they keep Michael Parsons, do they maybe beat the Panthers? Yeah, maybe, because they got the pass rush. But going into opening night, nobody thought they could beat the Eagles anyway. I think most of us chalked that up. That's probably going to be a loss. It's banner night in Philly. Y'all probably going to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Micah changes that too much. To me, I just don't think he changes our perception of the team. I think where their record is actually who they are. We're talking about them better now because they played so well the last couple of weeks, and they got 2 marquee wins the last couple of weeks because they beat Philly and Kansas City back-to-back weeks. So now we can actually talk about them like, hey, are they one of those teams that's now getting hot at the right time? And if they sneak in, they could be that team that if they sneak in, it's like, damn, I really don't want to play them. Like, I know they're not a great team, but I just don't want to play them because they're hot right now. But I think 6-5-1 is pretty much who they are. Like, if they would have beat the Panthers week 6, we wouldn't have been surprised that they beat the Panthers. But then they probably don't beat Kansas City by 1 score on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then they're probably still in that same position. So I think the buzz around the Cowboys more is rooted right now in the fact that they have those 2 marquee wins right now against the teams that won the Super Bowl last year, who, oh, by the way, are both fucking struggling right now because the Eagles have not looked good in a couple of weeks, and Kansas City has been up and down all year. So maybe the Cowboys are just taking advantage of teams that ain't that good.
Right.
And it might be the same thing this week when they get the Lions, who've also been up and down.
Yeah. And the thing is, also, and everybody might not be doing this, but when people look at the trade, we more concentrate on Dallas's fate,
right,
than what impact he's had on that Green Bay defense. And I could say probably 2 games he had a direct hand in getting those W's for Green Bay. And like, I've seen him jump off the screen. I've seen him have 2 and 3 sack games where he's changing field position and getting offenses off the field. And I mean, those are impactful game-winning plays that he's making for Green Bay. So I don't think what he's doing for Green Bay is highlighted enough in comparison to the Cowboys being able to tread water without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, short term, and yes, he's had impact. Like I said, I just don't think it's jumping off the page to most people unless you're watching the Packers. But when you're talking about a guy who came into the season with a back injury and he's got 13 sacks, and like you said, he's single-handedly altered some games from the last couple of weeks. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, and I don't think any of us are surprised by that. I think ultimately the defining part of this trade will be what happens throughout the rest of the season. If Green Bay goes on to win a Super Bowl and Micah Parsons through that run, we're going to say not only did Green Bay make the right decision by trading those first, they clearly won the trade because the goal is to win Super Bowls. So you clearly won the trade. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I just feel like we're going to be right back to having the conversation again. Like, all right, well, they didn't win the Super Bowl. Was Jerry right then?
Mm-hmm.
And to the other part of that, Jerry they got to scout well, because just because you got 2 first-round picks, that don't mean you're going to hit a home run with those picks.
Yeah.
You could strike out with both those picks and nothing comes of it. So only time will tell. Shout out to Kyrie. He wants to know, Will, are you encouraged or discouraged by Sanders' second start?
I can't really say either or. It's like I'm pretty much anything that happens for the rest of the season, I can't really put too much. Like if he plays great, I can't be like, well, because at this point in the season, you're going to be running into teams that might be resting guys. You're going to be running into teams that might be out of contention as well. You might be running into teams that are overlooking you.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's like, if you play great, I can't put so much stock in it. But if you play awful, I can't either, because of the situation you've been put in. All I want, if you don't completely shit the bed, then that's what I'm encouraged by. So far, what I've seen is decent. And no, last week there were some things that I didn't like, but at the same time, this is his dude's second start, right? So it's like we even though we're far along into the season, he's not far along into his progression as a quarterback. So like, he's in week 2, while the rest of us are in week 14. You know what I'm saying? He's in week, basically. Actually, he's not even in that, because he didn't get no preseason work.
Right. He barely got any
So really,
preseason work.
So really, we in training camp with him in live time. So and I'm not trying to give him excuses. I'm never giving guys excuses, but it's the position that he was set up to fail. Like, you, by not giving him any kind of preparation, any kind of opportunity to work or get any kind of reps in practice time. That's, as a backup quarterback in the NFL, that's just not a real thing. Like, what backup does not get any preparation, any reps, especially if your backup is a rookie that's never played in the league? So what I'm looking for right now from him is poise. What I'm looking for him right now is how he responds to mistakes that he's going to make, because he's going to make mistakes. What I'm looking for right now is how he controls the offense. If he controls that huddle, and if he commands respect from the other guys around him by his play and by his example of his work. I'm looking more for the intangibles right now than the results. So now I want to see intangibles out of him, and I'm seeing them already. I'm seeing him be a leader, because the press is going to come at him with questions that are going to be tough, and he's already been seeing them, especially last week with the whole thing with Jerry Jeudy acting like he's Jerry Rice, and he handled that like a professional. That he's getting questions about Kevin Stefanski's lack of professionalism, and he is handling those questions like a professional. That's what I want to see. Because if he said some crazy shit, or if he was like, "Oh well, you got to ask," then the media would have ran with it. But he's not giving the media stuff to run with. So I like that. I like that his head's not down after mistakes. But what I want to see is progression. So right now, like, the rest of the season to me is a trial for him. I'm not looking for wins and losses. First of all, you play for the Cleveland Browns, so if you're looking for wins and losses anyway, you ain't looking at the right thing. I just want to see how he is able to develop in this turmoil that he was pushed into, and how he's able, because really he's starting behind the 8 ball that most rookie quarterbacks don't have to face now, because most rookie quarterbacks get a little bit of work. He got none. And now we expect him to come out and light it up. Nah, let's just see how he progresses as a professional right now, and then we can judge him maybe going forward after that. But I'm not looking for wins and losses right now. I'm just looking for progression.
Yeah, I think you said it great there, and I agree with a lot of that. I think that I'm encouraged by what I see, not just from Shedeur's second start, but from Shedeur as a player and as a leader in general. In this league, the way you're covered by the media, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right? We heard all the talk. Oh, he's a hothead. You know, he's this. He can't humble himself. He's shown the complete opposite since he's taken over the job. Even as the backup, he didn't bitch and moan. He didn't complain. He wasn't pouting on the sideline. He was engaged with his teammates. And now he's getting his opportunity. He's trying to make the most of it. But to your point, they're setting him up to fail. What Jerry Jeudy did, to me, as an organization, that's one of the moments right there. If Stefanski really had Shedeur's back, I would bench Jerry Jeudy the next game. Because why would you try to show up our quarterback in that way? You didn't have that same type of attitude for Dylan Gabriel. You didn't have that same type of attitude for Joe Flacco.
And last week, when you were lollygagging,
yep, I was just about to say that.
Stripped.
Right.
Shador ain't come at you. Shador wasn't coming to you saying, "Oh, you just messed up what was supposed to be one of my longest completions."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so,
come on, bro.
I think if you're Stefanski and you have Shador's back, you make an example with Jerry Jeudy. And people might say, "Oh, he's doing that for Shador." You're damn right, because the quarterback is the exception. If you're a head coach and you know your success is tied to your quarterback, that's one of the moments where you got to have your quarterbacks back. And like, nah, I can't allow you to do what you did on the field like that and then think there's no repercussion for that. That's our young quarterback that we're trying to bring along. But now we know Stefanski not going to do that. Aside from all that, though, the reason I'm encouraged is one of the biggest issues I have with Dylan Gabriel as a quarterback was Dylan Gabriel just could not push the ball down the field. Shador has shown that he can throw the ball down the field. Now, is his timing off? Absolutely. He missed that pass to Jeudy, which led to the tantrum. He missed an earlier pass to Isaiah Bond. But why is he missing those passes? Well, Will, like you mentioned, lack of reps.
Yep.
Lack of reps. This was a guy who was not getting reps with the first team all year up until 2 weeks ago. So they're not on the same page a lot of times. The other part of it is the O-line still doesn't know how to block for Shador because they don't know where he's going to be in the pocket. He's a much more mobile quarterback than Dylan Gabriel and much more mobile than Joe Flacco. So where they're used to just creating a pocket and you're going to stand there, Shador can actually extend plays and they don't know where Shador's going to be at. So a lot of times his spot where he's throwing off of is different than what they're anticipating. But all of that has to do with lack of reps. There hasn't been enough time for him to develop a rhythm with his offensive line or his receivers. Another aspect that I think people overlook so often, and this is because this is the little intricacies that maybe most people don't realize. Every week, there are new installments into the offensive playbook. So what the plays you were running back in week 3 are not the plays you're running now in week 14. You've got new installs every week. So you're asking a quarterback who had no reps with this team, who for most of the year was running scout team offense, to on the fly adjust to the new installs while he's still trying to develop rhythm with his team. This is why teams keep a veteran quarterback on the books, because a veteran quarterback can help the young quarterback with this progression in learning the playbook and the adjustments that are made week to week. That's why you always keep a veteran there, because that veteran could be that voice that you can hear from that says, hey, look, this is what we're looking for in this read. These are your check downs. And similar to plays that we ran early in the season, the concept is the same. It's just a different formation now. It's just a different look. So you're looking at different defenses. Who the hell is Shador leaning on in that quarterback room?
Yeah, nobody.
Right? He's not leaning on anybody. You got another rookie quarterback who's trying to figure out a way to get his starter position back. So they're basically in there not helping each other. And Stefanski, who's supposed to be the offensive guru, who's drawing up all the plays, obviously has shown he has no trust in Shador as well. So Shador is trying to figure all these things out on the fly in a situation that is being created for him to not succeed. So I'm still encouraged by what I've seen from Shador, because as you highlighted, the leadership is still there. The willingness to learn is still there. The guy is trying to make plays down the field. And some of the sacks he's taking is because he's holding on to the ball longer than he should, because he's trying to make those plays down the field. It's not like he's lost out there. You could throw the film on and you could see the throws that he's making and what he's looking at in the defense. It's just that his timing is slightly off. All of this is part of a learning experience. But ultimately, I do think Shador is headed in the right direction. I'm still encouraged by it.
Yeah, me too.
Ron wants to know, Will, should the Cowboys start Trayvon Diggs when he returns?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I know he gambles a lot, but I feel like that defense was better when he was with it. So I mean, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Really? I mean, that defense is still giving up 30-some points a game, right?
The last 3 weeks, they're in a range of about 23, 24 points. They gave up 28 to Kansas City. They gave up 21 to Philly. They gave up 17 to the Raiders. So they're somewhere in the range of like 23 to 24 points.
Why not play him, though? I mean, he's a ball hawk. I mean, he does make mistakes, but some of those mistakes turn into him going the other way with the football. So I throw him in there. Why not?
You have to play him. One, he's making too much money. I mean, they got a rookie in Ravel playing alongside Bland. The rookie's okay. He's going to develop. You can see the potential there. But you got to throw Diggs in. Your goal was to have Diggs and Bland together, two ball hawking corners who can make plays. So you got to throw them in there. I also think if you're the Cowboys, the reason you have to play Diggs is because I don't think Diggs is with this team beyond this year. He's going to probably become like the veteran cap casualty in the summer. So if you're the Cowboys, we might as well get as much as we can out of him now, and let's see if he can make a couple plays to end the season that either could change our mind or change our season. And if it doesn't, we're going to cut him anyway. Remember, Bland just got his new contract in the off season. They're going to have some tough decisions to make with Pickens. So Diggs is going to be the odd man out on this team. But I think you play him now and you try to get as much from him now, and then you worry about later on if he's going to be part of this team. We got some basketball in here too. Actually, hold on. Before we get to that basketball question from Rama, this is right in that same field of what we were talking about. Cowboys versus Lions Thursday night at Ford Field. Who you like, Will?
Who did I take in that game? I think I picked.
You took the Lions.
The Lions at home. And the reason, I was basically just picking the home team, and that Lions offense. I don't think the Cowboys have enough on the defensive side. Like I think Detroit has enough on defense to line up with the Cowboys, but I don't think the Cowboys have enough on defense to line up with Detroit with what they have. Even if Amon-Ra is out, I still think they have enough on offense. In that they got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs, who, I mean, he's in the backfield, but you can split him out easily. He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife.
So, and then you got David Montgomery, who was a more traditional back, but he can hurt you out the backfield too. And then Jared Goff, who, since he's been in Detroit, has looked like an entirely different quarterback than he did out in LA. And then you got Dan Campbell, who really, as a head coach, I'm probably going to bet on him over Schottenheimer. So, and in Detroit, I like Detroit in this game, and with Dallas needing it so bad, like I don't think in recent years, or I don't even need to say recent years, but in years and years, when it was time for the Cowboys to step up and be clutch, they've never answered the bell. And this week they really need it. So I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Yeah, I'm taking Dallas. They're getting 3 points. I'm going to probably take them for the points, and I might even take a money line on a different ticket. I like Detroit, but I just feel like the injuries are catching up to them. The O-line is really, really banged up. Even if St. Brown's out, like you said, they have a lot of other weapons, but now you would have St. Brown out, and you have Sam Laporta out, two of your best receivers out, along with the O-line being banged up. And so this game is going to come down to, can they run the ball? If they can get Gibbs and Montgomery going, then I think they'll have some success against this Dallas defense. But if they struggle to run the ball, and if they don't really get it going, I think this game is going to turn into a little bit of a track meet, and I think that favors Dallas because Dallas wants to air it out. With those two receivers, they want to air it out. They want to throw the ball down the field, and I think Detroit needs to be able to play a little bit of keep away football to slow the game down. Because one of my picks for our parlay was going to be the over in this game. It's 54.5. I would not be surprised if both these teams score 30 points tomorrow night. It's a desperation game. I expect to see a lot of trick plays. I think both offensive coordinators are going to have to just empty the bag, understanding that this is almost like a playoff game. And so, Dan Campbell's going for it on fourth down. I expect Dallas to do the same. I expect Dallas to air it out. That's why I think Dallas is going to be able to win this game. I think this game, the style of play is going to favor Dallas a little bit more than Detroit. And like I said, the injuries is really what's catching up to Detroit. I think fully healthy, Detroit is a much better team. Much better team. But right now, their O-line is so bad that they try to bring back an old lineman that was retired. And then he failed his physical. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're down a couple people on the O-line. Like I said, Laporta was one of the best tight ends in football. He's out. Now you're telling me St. Brown might be out as well. So you're missing both those guys. So now you got to go to some inexperienced guys at receiver. It's going to be a lot of pressure on the running game. I like Dallas. I like them at the 3, and then like I said, I'm probably even gonna put a money line on another ticket, man. Let's get to some basketball. I'm gonna bring this one up from Kyrie because I remember this name, but I'm not from this area, Kyrie. But Will is from the DC area, so Will might be more familiar. But I remember this name because I believe he played for the Nets. He wants to know, isn't Lonnie Harrell from DC? Lonnie probably older than you all. But what do you know about Lonnie Harrell?
Lonnie Harrell. Damn, I
I think
know the
he played for the
name.
Nets. I feel like he played for the Nets.
Was he like a light skinned bald headed cat?
I'm
I
gonna look
can't.
him up real quick.
That name is Lonnie Harrell.
I'm gonna look him up real quick.
I can't even remember, bro. That's a long time ago name.
He is older than us because he's 53. He was born in 72. He went to Georgetown.
Lonnie
He went to
Harrell.
Georgetown in the early 90s. Hold on. I think he
Yeah, I
went to
can't.
Georgetown first and then transferred. Yeah, he was from DC.
He go to Carroll? Did it say what high school he went to?
I'm gonna try to look. Let me see. He was at Georgetown, then he transferred to Northeast. Hold on. I'm trying to get his high school bio. Yeah, they got.
Why you
I said the name
why you
sound
ask,
familiar.
Kyrie?
He was asking because of the DC area. He said, "Isn't Lonnie Earl from DC?" But yeah, the most I could find on him is he played at Georgetown and he transferred out before he ended up. He became like a little bit of an
I
NBA
remember
journeyman.
the name, but
But he
damn.
did play for the Nets. I saw that. I knew the last name Harrell sounded familiar, and I thought it was him. And it does show he played with the Nets. That's the most I could really find. There's not even really a Wikipedia on him.
Hmm. You say he 53?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he older than me even. So
Let me go. I'm gonna go to the. I'm checking out the Georgetown roster from that year and see if I can get a little bit more info on him.
I
Lonnie
definitely know
Harrell.
the
He
name.
was a 6'6" wing. He went to Eastern High School.
Easton. Okay.
Yeah, there's no Wikipedia on him though. 6'6" guard/forward. Georgetown. Like I say, he was there for 2 years before he transferred out. He did make the league. Let me see some. He had a book out too. And there's really no info on him though.
Hmm.
Let me see. Yeah, there's not much info on him. He was briefly in the league, but that's it. It don't even really give you much. All right, let's see. Are we gonna stick basketball too? I know you're gonna like this question, Will, because this was a guy that you were high on before the draft. Will Gordon, a rookie, Derek Queen for the Pelicans is from your neck of the woods, man. Pelicans have been playing him, and he is cold. Did you know about him years ago?
Bruh. Yes. I knew about him coming out of Baltimore. I knew about him going to Maryland. And the night of the lottery, when the Wizards got the 6th pick, because I was all in on Cooper Flag. I thought we was gonna get the first pick. And when we got the 6th, I said, well, I guess Derek Queen it is, because that was like my ultimate consolation prize from not getting the first pick, was going to be to go ahead and draft Derek Queen. And now he's doing everything I knew he was going to be able to do and more. He's doing everything I knew he was going to be able to do now that I thought he was going to be able to do in like 4 years. Like what I expected him to be in about 3 or 4 years, he's already showing me right now. That I did not expect. But yeah, I've been up on Derek Queen, as Eric could tell you. I've been hyping that kid for a while, and it just breaks my heart to see him do it in another city. When we passed him by for that guard that Eric was trying to get me. happy about. Eric could tell you on draft night, I was not rocking with that guard we picked. I wanted Derek Queen, but it is what it is, and I'm happy for the kid. He's a good kid. He's going to be scary in this NBA here in a few years because he's still a baby. He's
He's
still
still
he don't even
shooting.
got muscle on him. He's
Yeah.
still, you know what I'm saying. He still got his baby fat on him, and he might get taller too. This dude, he gonna be a problem. Um, he's everything. He is everything the NBA needs going for the future of the league. And I couldn't be more happy for the kid. I just wish that this team right here was smarter than they were and took them at 6.
I mean, it's deeper than that with the Wizards. I still like Trey Johnson. I think Derek Queen is having a much better rookie season. But I never liked the fit for Derek Queen down in New Orleans anyway. I think a lot of that just had to do with the organization. They don't have the structure there. But the Wizards, I mean, not only not taking Derek Queen, which right now, again, he looks like the better player, you guys gave up on my man Denny. Avidas, you're too quick. And now you see him in Portland. And that, I'm telling you, that was a guy I loved a couple years ago. Shout out to my man Combo Scored because we talked about him before the draft. And even then, when he first got drafted, I was like, yo, I think this is a great pick for the Wizards because I think Denny was kind of like a modern day Tony Kukoc. You know, with the right guys around him, you're going to get a very productive, high level player.
Yep.
And he's in Portland balling out right now.
Yep.
Listen, we got a couple more. We got a couple.
And you could have had Queen. You could have had the Queen star front court.
Yeah, it's because Sar's coming on this year too.
Yeah, he is.
Sar's playing really well. Let's go through a couple of basketball questions, and then we'll get to our parlay for the week. As always, guys, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. We're live every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Let's see what we got. Other basketball right here. Shout out to Poole. Said Lakers lost to the Suns the other night. Did y'all see how weird LeBron was acting in that game? JJ called a timeout. LeBron spent a minute over there laughing with the Suns down 22. Is he being a spoiled brat? Yeah, I mean.
He's been that all season so far, even when he wasn't on the court. Yeah. That's why he wasn't on the court. It's because he's being a spoiled brat. How's that sciatica, by the way? Like, what happened to all of that? That just went away. It just urgently. I mean, it just was gone all of a sudden.
It's good now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
his sciatica. He got the same doctor that healed his sciatica, healed Trump's ear.
Yeah. The thank God, thank God they were able to heal it. But well, if I remember correctly, you and I both had said at the start of the season that there was no sciatica. It was more about him just getting some rest early in the season because the season was starting a little earlier than normal. But LeBron, this is why, for anybody who's ever made the arguments for LeBron, where you said things like, "Oh, he makes teammates better," and those type of things. This is why a lot of us, like Will and myself, don't really agree with that statement, because this is a prime example of lack of leadership. It's not about you right now, so look how you're starting to conduct yourself. The moment is not about you anymore. Now you don't have no respect for your coach and JJ Redick, right? And for the play that people that may not know that Pooh's referring to, the Lakers are actually getting ready to inbound the ball. They hadn't even called timeout yet. They were inbounding the ball. LeBron's over there talking to the Suns, and you hear JJ on the audio calling LeBron's name to get his attention because the ball is coming up court. And then JJ ends up having to call a timeout because LeBron is so engaged in the conversation with the Suns, he don't even know that the Lakers are bringing the ball up the court.
Right.
So, because I know some people are going to try to make it say, oh, JJ was calling timeout. No, the Lakers were bringing the ball up the court. And then JJ realized LeBron has no clue what we're doing right now and called timeout. But it's other things that, again, this is LeBron not only being a spoiled brat, but showing a lack of leadership and showing that because it's not about me, I'm unhappy. So I'm going to do my own thing when I want to do my own thing.
Hi.
Hey, what's going on, princess?
Get out of here.
Let's see. We talked about that. Let's see what else we got here. Shout out to Ron. I like this one right here. That obviously is going to be the biggest story. We probably should have started when we talked to NBA, but it's up here now. Talk about the Giannis drama and what team would be a great fit for Giannis to go to. Ron says either the Warriors or the Knicks. For those that may not know, it became official today. Giannis and his agent sat down with the Bucks to discuss his future. You know what that means. That's the first step in a potential trade. happening, it looks like Giannis at this point probably feels like, all right, it's time to go. Well, what do we make of this? Because we heard all summer that Giannis could force his way out. And I don't even want to say force his way out because I think Giannis has done it the right way. He's won in Milwaukee. He's tried to win in Milwaukee, but it obviously is at a point now where they just don't have the roster that can win. We heard the talk that the Knicks were at the top of his list. So, of course, that's going to come up again. What should we make of this?
It's about to come up right now because I'm about to ask you, what all of y'all giving up to get him? Because I think that's the only deal on the table.
So I agree. I think the Knicks are the move that makes the most sense. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm just saying when you look at the landscape of the league and you look at the teams that could actually offer something of value to Milwaukee, very few are going to go all in for Giannis. Milwaukee's in a terrible situation, by the way. Terrible. Mm-hmm. Milwaukee doesn't own any of their first-round picks over the next 2 drafts. So tanking makes no sense for them. Whether it's with Giannis or without Giannis, tanking is off the board for them. They don't own any picks. If you trade Giannis somewhere and get first-round picks, those are not going to be lottery picks because any team that Giannis goes to immediately becomes a title contender. So even if you trade him, people will say, oh, you got to get X amount of picks back. For what? Those picks are going to be late first-round picks anyway. Which, if you're Milwaukee, your best case is to try to just collect as many assets as possible and make your team as competitive as possible because, again, you don't own your own pick. So you don't want to be bad right now. Those picks go to, I believe, Portland has most of those picks from the Dame Lillard trade. So if you're the Knicks, I think the most obvious is Karl-Anthony Towns, along with either OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges. And more than likely it's going to be OG.
Yeah.
I think that's probably now if you're the Knicks and you play hardball and you say, hey, we're willing to give you the 2 wing guys, OG and Bridges, along with probably Mitchell Robinson to throw you a future pick, maybe Milwaukee might get enticed by that to get the future pick and still have 2 respectable wing guys. But I think Cat with one of the wing guys is probably the most obvious move. The Warriors, I don't think have much that they can offer because in order to make the trade, you're probably going to have to include, you might give them Kuminga, but you're going to probably have to include Jimmy Butler in the deal as well to make all the money match up. And if you're the Bucks, is that a trade that really makes sense for you? At least with Karl-Anthony Towns, you're getting an all-star that you can try to build around. Again, because if you're the Bucks, this is not about being bad. They cannot afford to be bad. They don't own the pick. So they got to try to be as competitive as they can this year to make that pick not look terrible. Speaking of, I don't know if you saw, Will, that post. We're going to talk about the Clippers later on. You know who owns the Clippers pick this year, right?
Yeah, I saw OKC got that thing, right?
Oklahoma City got that pick, and that's an unprotected pick.
Yeah.
So similar to, I'm going to use that as an example, just like the Clippers can't afford to be bad this year, Milwaukee cannot afford to be bad. So any trade they make, I think is still going to be to try to be competitive this year. That's why I think the Knicks trading Karl-Anthony Towns and either OG or Bridges probably makes the most sense. For the Knicks, I know people will be like, well, why would you want to trade Karl-Anthony Towns? I think there's frustration with his lack of defense. They've tried to sugarcoat it, but there's been plenty of clips circulating where you see players yelling at Cat because he's not rotating on defense. He's not giving enough effort on defense. Mikal Bridges, there's been several times he's been kind of barking at him about that. So I think that's why it makes the most sense. Giannis, you don't have to worry about that. Giannis can come in. Is Giannis the shooter that Karl-Anthony Towns is? No, but Giannis is better in every other aspect. He's better defensively. He's better overall offensively. He's better on the glass. And if you're the Knicks, the whole point of all this was to go all in. You go all in and you figure out the rest later on. But I think that's what makes the most sense. San Antonio, I don't think makes a trade for Giannis because they're not going to give up those 2 young guys. They're not giving up Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. Even though they have the cap space to make it happen, they're not going to do it. The Rockets have no interest. Dallas is not trading Cooper Flag. The Lakers don't have anything to give up. The most Miami could give up is maybe Bam and Hero. But then if you're Miami, then you're not competitive at that point. You're basically giving up 2 quality players to bring in Giannis, but then you don't have the rest of the team around. At the very least, even though the Knicks would be gutting their depth, the Knicks could sell it by saying, hey, we have Giannis and Brunson. We have two of the better players in the East, and we're trying to win it just around those two guys.
Look, I think the only thing, really, I mean, do y'all really want to hold on to Cat?
No.
That's what Brunson to me is the only thing y'all need to keep. Take everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, take everybody else. And I was looking at like the pieces y'all can move, and what were y'all thinking with the Miles Bridges trade, man?
So
all that capital.
Where the Knicks fucked up, the trade for Bridges, they fell into this idea that, oh, we're gonna have to pay a premium because it's the Nets. I never agreed with that thinking. I said at the time when the trade was made, it was an overpay. Bridges is a good player, but to give up 5 first-round picks or whatever it was like 3 legitimate picks with like 2 pick swaps, whatever it was, they allowed the Nets to oversell him. When the Knicks should have said, listen, you don't really have a trade partner for him anyway. Like, there were teams that would have been interested in Bridges because Philly wanted him, because that was before Philly made the move for Paul George. But nobody was going to give up that many picks. And I think the Knicks, I guess, overthought it. This whole idea of we want to reunite all the Nova guys and create this winning atmosphere was good on the surface, but we overpaid.
Yeah, I mean that was, and that ruined y'all for this move. Because then you would be at least be able to throw in some picks.
Yeah, it ruined us for this move, and I think it also put the Knicks in a very tough position to build the rest of the roster, because if you look, Landry Shamet was a guy that was never part of our future. He got to play minutes now off our bench. You know what I'm saying, right? That could have been draft capital to go get the veteran point guard. I've been saying for a while, what we really need is a veteran point guard off the bench. That's what we need more than anything, because too often the Knicks revert back to their old bad habits where it's let Brunson just cook and everybody move out the way, as opposed to somebody who could run you some offense and say, nah, keep the ball movement going, we'll get an offense. And then, if we need to get it to Brunson late in the shot clock, that's what we do, but let's run some offense early. We need a veteran point guard. But ultimately, where the Knicks stand right now, I think it's Karl-Anthony Towns. I saw it firsthand against the Orlando Magic while I was down there. I've seen it in other games. Karl-Anthony Towns is struggling with athletic bigs, not even skillful bigs, just athletic bigs who can kind of get physical with him, who can keep up with him. He's struggling with that. That's why he struggled against Orlando. It's one of the reasons that he was very inconsistent against Detroit last year in the playoffs. Whenever the teams put bigs on him that are athletic and can contest his shot, he struggles because he's a slow-footed big. So Giannis maybe changes that. But if you're the Knicks, you have to. The Knicks already fired the head coach, Will. You know what that means. You're all in. You got to win now. And if Giannis is saying he wants to come to New York, you got to make the trade.
Yeah, got to.
Let's see what else we got. Pooh, I'm going to save that. Pooh got a hip-hop question. We'll save that for the end. All right. Basketball related. One of Will's favorite players, also from Ron Ron. He wants to know thoughts on the Clippers waiving Chris Paul on his farewell season. He's definitely a top 4 or top 5 Clipper ever, right? Well, I'm going to say this, Ron Ron. Being a top 4 or top 5 Clipper ever isn't saying much. The Clippers don't have a great history to compare that to. Like, realistically, if we did the top 5 Clippers of all time, who are we talking about, Will? We're talking about Blake Griffin.
You talking about everybody that was on Lob City, and maybe a couple guys from the 80s.
Maybe
a couple guys from the documentary.
Do we want to say Elton Brand?
Nah, I don't.
Right. That's what it would have to be. The Lob City guys. It would have to be Paul. It would have to be Griffin. It would have to be DeAndre Jordan. And then if you fast forward to now, I mean, I guess we're putting Kawhi on there.
Who was the dude on the show that he was a coach, but he used to play for them?
Reggie Theus?
No, it was before him. It was somebody else.
Before Reggie Theus?
Yeah. Wasn't that on the documentary? I mean, not the documentary, but the joint, the FX show. It was somebody that was with the organization for a long time.
No. That was wasn't that Elgin Baylor?
Was it him?
No, he played for the Lakers.
No, somebody. I can't, man. I'm
Yeah,
out.
Elgin was the former GM there.
Oh, okay. So he didn't even play for them.
He didn't even play for them.
Yeah, never mind that. Yeah, man.
I mean, if you're saying top five, like I said, it's going to be Lob City.
Lob City.
Maybe the greatest Clipper might be Quincy McCall from Love and Basketball. I mean, it wasn't many good guys.
I might. Hey, Jamal Crawford might be a better Clipper than Chris Paul.
It wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It ain't saying much. It ain't saying much. But honestly, don't cut him at this point. That might be a blessing for Chris Paul because the Rockets need a veteran point guard.
They do.
Go sign with the Rockets.
Been there. He been there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Go sign with the Rockets, and until they figure out what they want to do long term with the position, at least you can get 15 to 18 minutes a night off the bench.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. But so what? Chris Paul, I just don't like him. That might be, how certain guys in sports you don't like.
No, we should do that. So, Will, for people that don't know, you and I have been doing a podcast now for like 6 years, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
We got to create the top 5 Will Gordon most hated list. The guys, because Chris Paul is on the list, LeBron is on the list.
LeBron's the king of the list.
LeBron. Who else is on the list?
Chris Paul, LeBron. You know what? That's a good topic. We gonna have to come up with that.
We're gonna have to come up with that. Yeah, we're gonna have to the guys that you have hated to talk about the most. We're gonna talk about.
This is few, but I want to give them their just due. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They deserve the proper recognition.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's run through a couple more questions, then we're gonna get to the parlay of the night. Let's see what else we got. We got through the basketball. I think we might have got through. Hold on. Kyrie wants to know: do the Bills look like a team that could win the AFC?
No. I'm gonna say no, just because I don't think they have enough on offense. Like, they got Josh Allen, who's America's darling or whatever, and then their best weapons in their backfield to me, and I don't think they use them enough.
I agree with that.
I don't think they use them enough. I think they try to highlight the quarterback too much, and they got a gem in the backfield that they could be destroying people with. And at receiver, they don't have nearly enough. They like when you're talking about winning the Super Bowl and going deep in the playoffs, you gotta have guys that the defensive coordinators have the game plan around, and really the only people they have the game plan around are in the backfield. It's Josh and this the running back that they don't utilize. So really, you don't have anybody that's going to stretch the defense. Nobody's taking the top off, and when you get in the playoffs, every defense is going to be good. I'm not worried about the Bills really. I don't even like them this week.
So this week. I'm gonna give them this week, because I don't believe in the Bengals defense. And last week may have more been about them just being excited that Joe Burrow was back, but the Bengals defense is still trash. So I like the Bills this week. But moving forward, you're 1,000% correct, Will. I'm never gonna forget what I saw from the Buffalo Bills when they lost to the Miami Dolphins, when they lost to the Houston Texans. And both those games, when they were down and they needed to throw the ball, they had not one receiver that could get open.
Nope.
And James Cook is a great running back. James Cook is definitely a difference maker. But James Cook can only impact the game if they have the lead. If they fall behind 10-0, you're going to see none of those receivers, Khalil Shakur, Keon Coleman, this other kid, what's his name? What's the other kid? I can't even think of his name. But none of them guys get open. None of those guys get open. And if they're losing a game, and we're talking AFC. Let's be
Josh
real.
Palmer, I think.
But let's be real. With the AFC, you got two of the best defenses in all of football. If they got to play the Texans again, if they got to play the Broncos, I'm not trusting them to be able to move the ball on any of those defenses. I don't trust them to move the ball on the Patriots.
Mm-mm.
So to me, they can only come out of the AFC if the matchup is absolutely perfect for them. But if they got to play some of these other teams that can get up and down the field, that can score points, or that can even get a lead on you and force you to play from behind, they just don't have it. And I think we're going to see that in a few weeks. When they play the Patriots, they get the Patriots next week. That's going to be for the division. No matter what happens with the Bills this week, that game against the Patriots is going to be to seal up the division. And I'm willing to bet that in that game, we're going to see much more versatility from the Patriots. And we're going to come away from that game like, yeah, the Patriots probably have all the pieces to make a deep playoff run. On the flip side, we're going to look at the Bills and be like, yeah, they're too one-dimensional. If they can't run the ball, they're not going to be a team that can beat you in the playoffs. What else we got? We're going to get to that round, yeah. I didn't see this, but I don't know if you did, Will. Squeeze wants to know, did y'all see Michael Jordan talk about Anthony Edwards? I didn't see or hear those comments.
Yeah, I did.
All right, so yeah, you can speak on it. I didn't see it yet.
It was last night. He was talking about practically what we talked about last year about his excuse, Anthony Edwards' excuse of not taking that step last year was not being able to get off of double teams and not being able to adjust to it. And he was saying something to the effect of, if guys come to him and because he sees what he needs to do, but if guys come to them and want to have those conversations, that he's open to that for not just Anthony Edwards, but for other guys. But he was definitely cognizant of the struggles of not just Anthony Edwards, but of a lot of young guys now. I saw it more of him saying like, y'all are making excuses. Just me being an old guy, like he was being nice about it, but he was talking about how, a double team is not supposed to nullify you. You know what I mean? There are ways around it and there's ways to work to where that's not even an issue. But he's saying it's basically what I was reading from it was like, guys, like the knowledge is there, you just got to seek it, and the work is there, you just got to do it. That's what I got from it.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I didn't see the comments, but hearing that, that makes sense. And Mike has always said he's very open to giving the wisdom and the knowledge to the next generation of players. He's always talked about that. All right. Well, let's get to the parlay. Last week, it wasn't our greatest week. It wasn't our greatest work.
Man, last week was atrocious.
Listen, we had some good ones last week. You personally, Worthy 4 catches on Thanksgiving Day that hit. But we missed with Mark Andrews anytime touchdown, and we missed with Michigan plus 10.5. Michigan completely shit the bed against Ohio State.
Yes.
We did have Chase Brown. We talked about Chase Brown over 3.5 catches that hit. We talked about Jets money line. We were kind of going back and forth. That hit. David Montgomery anytime touchdown that hit. I was wrong. I had Hollywood Brown to have 25 receiving yards. He had 20. Mm-hmm. So we didn't hit there. And then we were 1,000% correct. Remember, we talked about the Lions money line. I was kind of iffy on it. We originally, Trip wanted to do it at -3. I was like, if we're going to take it, might as well just take it at money line. That didn't hit. But he was correct with Devin Achan at 70 yards rushing. So we got to be better this week. Now, I'll be honest. I think some of the games are easy to call this week. I think some of the games are super easy to determine how they're going to play out this week. But let's see what we got on player props. So what you like, Will?
So this week I'm kind of going for big money. I'm going for big money this week, man. So we just talked about Josh Allen and the Bills. At plus 280, I'm going Josh Allen 2 anytime touchdowns against that Bengals defense.
I like that.
Plus 280. That's my first one. You're gonna hate No, see, I got one. I got there's no line for, but I'm gonna just put it in your ear because come Sunday it may be available. I love my favorite line, my favorite, but there's no line for it yet. It's Myles Garrett 2 sacks against the Titans. That's my favorite of the, but there's no line for that, so we ain't gonna put that in the. There ain't no line for that yet.
So the only thing with that though, unless it's changed, they haven't been allowing you to you could put 1 sack on the same game parlay. Anything more than 1 sack becomes its own thing. You can't
It's
parlay.
a special. Yeah, it's a special.
Yeah, it becomes a special. So we can still mark it down though.
Yeah, it ain't gonna. It'll probably be like minus 215.
Yeah, for the 1 sack.
To be honest, yeah, but so I'm gonna take that out because I'm a plus money, all plus money on this joint. So my second joint will be, but that's for anybody. That's just a little one for anybody that's doing their own thing. Myles Garrett 2 sacks, lock it. I like anytime touchdown plus 125 for George Pickens in the Dallas-Detroit game. And then I also like no, this is I'm gonna let you choose this one, Eric, because I know how you don't really look. I know you get nervous when I throw them college joints in, but I be hitting these college bets, man. Every time I put a college leg in, I hit it. And this one's huge. I like Indiana straight up plus 160 at Ohio State.
So Indiana money line.
Yep.
You said that's at plus 160?
Yep. Number 2 at number 1. I like Indiana.
And that's for the Big Ten championship as well, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna mark that one down.
That's one. And my other one, if you don't want the college, I'll keep it NFL. Plus 265. I'm telling you, I'm going big money this week. Plus 265. Joe Burrow 3 touchdowns. Passing.
3 TDs is plus 165?
265.
265. I was about to say 165 something. Well, 265. That's against Buffalo.
Yep.
I can see it because they're going, like I said, I think that's the Bengals' path to success is to air it out. Now, I'm going to piggyback that one there because if you're going to say he's throwing 3 touchdowns, let me take a look at something in on their end if they have it up. And shout out to FanDuel because they actually been having the props up a little sooner now. Remember before we used to always say that they didn't have the props up.
Yeah. Earlier games they got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, let me see something. Man. Oh, they only on the receiving props. They only got 2 guys up there. They didn't put everybody's props up there. All right, because I was going to say if that's the case, I want to see what the receiving props are going to be for their main guys. Because if he's throwing 3 touchdowns, that means he's probably going to air the ball out. Probably looking at Jamar getting about anywhere from 7 to 10 catches. That was kind of close to what he had last week. All right. I'm going to piggyback your Pickens joint, though, because I like that one. And like I said, I think the Cowboys have success this week. So you got Pickens anytime touchdown this week.
Yep.
On his yardage, I want to see what they got his yardage at. They expecting both Dallas receivers to get over 80 yards. They got his catches at over 5.5. I like his over on catches.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
So over 5.5 receptions. I like that. I really love the over in this game. 54.5, I think is too low. For most of the year, the Cowboys have gone over in their games. For them to reach 50 total points, that's nothing. That, like I said, that's pretty common in all of their games. And because this is a desperation game between 2 good offenses, there's no weather factor because this is going to be in the dome. I expect both teams to get into the 30s. So I'm going to go over 54.5 points. My last one, I was looking at a couple of upset teams this week. You let me know which underdog you like the most. I know which one I like the most, but I want you to tell me. The underdog teams I love this week. I like the Cowboys getting the 3 points. I like the Jaguars getting 1.5 points against the Colts. The Colts have struggled in Jacksonville for the last 10 years. You're telling me Daniel Jones with a broken fibula who can't move around in Jacksonville against a team that has a pretty solid pass rush. I like the Jags getting a 1.5 there. I like the Commanders getting 2.5 against the Vikings. I don't understand why Vegas has this line that way. Granted, the Commanders haven't been good this year, but if anybody saw the Viking quarterback last week, I said that was one of the worst fucking plays of the whole season. That was a straight.
Probably saw that play. I was like, whoa.
That was a straight pop. That was a Pop Warner quarterback move by the dude to throw an underhand while you're getting sacked. I can see the Commanders beating the Vikings outright. One of my favorite, and I think there's a super trap game. The Seahawks giving 7 points in Atlanta. And I think that's a trap game, Will. The Seahawks, after this week, they have the matchup against the Colts, and then they got the big matchup with the Rams, which is probably for the division. I would not be surprised if they stumble there. I like another trap game this week, the Broncos and Vegas. Remember the first time they played, that was like that 10-7 game on a Thursday night? Vegas is getting 7.5 points. I think that's a trap game.
Listen. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No. And my other favorite underdog this week, like I said, Jacksonville to beat the Colts is my favorite underdog of the week. And like I said, that's only at 1.5, so it's not a major underdog, but I like the Jags to win that game. The Texans are going to beat the Chiefs and end the Chiefs season on Sunday night. That's my favorite underdog of this week. Their defense is playing. Their defense to me right now is right on par with the Broncos in terms of the best defense in football. The Chiefs have been too inconsistent this year. I think the Texans beat the Chiefs on Sunday night, and that's going to end the Chiefs season.
I thought about that one. I did think about that one a little bit, but the refs ain't going to let the Chiefs lose at home. I don't even think not with all that going.
I don't even think the Texans are going to let the Chiefs get involved.
Really?
Yeah, I just think their defense is too good.
But you know what? In my picks, I picked Jacksonville straight up. I picked Washington straight up, and I picked Vegas straight up. So any of those I'm good with because I picked all of those in my picks this week as upsets.
Yeah, I like them, but let me see. Let me see if there's another player prop that I like that's out here. What's a really good matchup? I'm trying to think of a matchup that works where maybe we can get somebody. Because if you like Josh to have 2 touchdowns, who else do you think could have a 2-touchdown day?
Gibbs.
And Detroit against Dallas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Gibbs getting a lot of touches, right? Passing and rushing. 2 touchdowns for him is 240.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much right in line with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see how many we got so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We put 8 together. This is the ones we got. Let's figure out which ones we want to go with. We got Dallas, Detroit, over 54.5. Pickens, over 5.5 catches, along with the Pickens anytime touchdown. Gibbs, 2 touchdowns. So that's pretty much on Thursday night. We will have 4 right out the gate on Thursday night. And then we got Josh Allen, 2 anytime TDs. We got Myles Garrett. We got to see if we can get him for 2 sacks. We know we can get him for 1 for sure.
Yeah, we only want to be able to get 1.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it.
Joe Burrow, 3 TDs, and then college football, Indiana money line at plus 160. So we put 8 together so far. We want to rock with all 8, or do we want to condense it down?
We can drop it down.
Which ones?
I'm gonna keep Josh Allen.
I agree.
I want to keep Pickens.
Yeah, I like Pickens touchdown and catches.
You can take Indiana out.
Okay.
But I am betting it this weekend for sure.
We keeping Myles Garrett 1 sack. We know it's gonna be minus money no matter what, but he's gonna get the 1 sack.
Yeah, that's guaranteed hit. What's the other joints?
I like the over, Dallas, Detroit, over 54.5.
Yeah, keep that.
And then we also got Gibbs 2 touchdowns. You want to keep Gibbs 2 touchdowns, or you want to keep Joe Burrow 3 touchdowns? Gibbs 2 touchdowns is plus 240. Joe Burrow 3 touchdowns is plus 265.
I'm thinking Burrow. Because
So
I think Montgomery might sneak in there and take something from Gibbs. I think Joe about to light it up, man. Because Higgins is healthy, right? Higgins is back.
Higgins should be back. Yeah, that's why I was trying to see what they had the player props at that game for, but they haven't listed the receiver props yet.
I'm gonna say Burrow 3 TDs, but I'm keeping that.
Let me see something. They got him listed. They got him as questionable. There's going to be a cold day out there in Buffalo, but I don't think the weather's going to play a factor. Joe played out there in a damn snowstorm before, so it's fine.
You from Ohio? He ain't worried about that.
And we got breaking news as we were talking right here. Squeezy put in, Giannis may have hurt his Achilles. He just left the Pistons game.
Woo.
Wow.
Dang, that would be some. That's so Knicks.
So
Y'all about to get the deal.
So much for that trade.
Yeah. That's so Knicks. Hey, yo, I hate to cut it. I got to get these kids in bed, man.
Do your thing, bro. I'm going to wrap up right now anyway. We'll talk off air about which ones we want to pick, but we gave everybody.
Viewers. Peace. I'll get with you, E.
Yes, sir. I'll holler at you. And Pooh, I'm going to answer your question. I'm sorry we didn't get to it while Will was here, but Pooh had a great question. We was going to end the show off on this anyway. Who wants to know 50 Cent and Ja Rule? Who had more overall hits? And did 50 at the time take Ja out the game, but in a way using Ja's blueprint? I don't know if y'all answered this last week or not. So we didn't get to answer it last week, Pooh. I apologize. Let's start with, let's see. 50 did use Ja's blueprint. For those that don't know, 50 kind of criticized them for, the melodic singing hooks. But 50 did the same thing as well, right? You look at 21 Questions, you look at PIMP. He just put probably a little bit more street emphasis and street aspect to it. But it was the same format. You know what I'm saying? Catchy beats, catchy hooks, melodic hooks, Candy Shop, all these songs, right? The biggest difference was that 50 just had way more street credibility. Not only with getting shot, people in New York and people who were on the scene and around hip hop understood that 50 had a legitimate street reputation that you couldn't clown him for. You couldn't question what he had going on. He really was outside. He was a Golden Glove boxer, so he was known to be good with his hands. He had been in some altercations. He had been shot and stabbed and all those type of things. So you couldn't question his street credibility, whereas he was able to attack that with Ja because Ja didn't have that street credibility. Not to say Ja was some sucker or some punk, but again, nobody knew of what Ja might have been involved in before the rapping. He didn't have that. All right, so that's that aspect of it. In terms of who had overall ones, Will, if you're able to come back, let me know, Will. I'll bring you back on. All right.
I wanted to hear what Pooh's question was real quick.
So she said 50 Cent and Ja Rule, who had more overall hits, and did 50 at the time take Ja out the game, but in a way using Ja's blueprint? I did say, yeah, 50 did use his blueprint. 50 was able to get away with it, though, because, like I said, 50 had more street credibility. So you couldn't question who 50 Cent was away from music. Aside from getting shot 9 times, he already had a big reputation in the street for being able to fight because he was a Golden Glove boxer. He had been involved in a game. He was hustling. He was doing his thing. He had altercations prior to even being shot, along with the fact that his introductory to the game was a song called How to Rob, where he outlines how he would rob every major person in the hip-hop industry. So you couldn't question his credibility, but he was doing the same thing Ja did. It was a lot of catchy songs with melodic, singy song type hooks. He did all the same thing Ja did. It's just you couldn't question his credibility, his street credibility. So that's why it worked more for him. In terms of who had more hits, I would say Ja probably had more hits.
Ja Rule did.
Yeah, I would say Ja had more hits. The thing with 50 is that 50 caught this wave at a time where for like 3 years, it was 50 Cent's game. He could do no wrong. But outside of that 3-year window, he really didn't have kind of the longevity that you would expect for somebody who had as many hits as 50 Cent did. because it really was that. If you look, it's his first 2 albums. It's his collaboration within G Unit. It's the stuff he did for Game, and then 50 musically started to fade very quickly. Whereas Ja held us down for several summers, bro. Like we're not gonna act like Ja Rule didn't have the biggest songs in hip hop for probably 5 or 6 straight years. So I think Ja probably have more hits. If they were to do a versus, it'd be interesting because I think Ja does have more hits.
50 was the product of the machine. I was never a big 50 guy. It was probably 5 dudes that you could have put in that seat and would have had the same career as 50 at the time. If you put 5 dudes in that seat, backed by Dre and M at the time when Dre, like you gotta rewind to what era we talking about, what was going on in music. And this was a dude that was from New York with the backing of Midwest Eminem and West Coast Dre that was dominating the charts. New York was New York was always there. They always gonna be there hip hop wise, but it was a lot of noise being made from other areas. And then 50 kind of, I ain't from New York. I'm just saying, speaking from a dude not from New York, from the outside looking in, 50 kind of put the battery in New York's back when they needed it, because off the strength of Dre, off the strength of Eminem. I never was a 50 Cent guy. I never really thought he was like a great artist. I just thought he was. To me, 50 Cent was always just an act, not an artist. He was an act, but not an artist. If that makes sense to you. Musically, Ja Rule, I don't even think it's close. Ja Rule had way more bangers than 50 did, but what happened was 50 punked him. Like, see, that's like when it came in hip hop, it ain't gonna always be, it's the machismo in hip hop that's always gonna reign supreme. And with the machismo, 50 had that tenfold over Ja Rule. He pretty much punked him in front of everybody. And that's when you saw Ja start to fall off, is when he couldn't really come back at 50 the way 50 was coming at him, both. So I think it was never really about who had better music. It came down to who was tougher. And 50 was looked at as being the tougher guy than Ja Rule, when in all actuality, when you look at it, if Ja Rule was able to keep his career going the way that it was going at the time, who knows where he'd be right now, because he was popping. Ja Rule was popping. Like, as much as he gets clowned now, Ja Rule was out here. And I mean, when In the Club and all that hit, that was a wave. But it ain't like, if you put on, like, that's what you say, if they did a versus right now, if you put on Ja's 5 best bangers against 50's 5, like, I don't even need to go 20 or whatever the versus is. Just go 5 and 5.
I think it got to go deeper than 5 pulls. Because
I'm just saying, if you put 5 up, though, it's not even close.
No, it's close. It's close. I think I'm not gonna say that far, because, like I said, the quality of what 50 was putting out on those first 2 albums would definitely.
We talking about features too in verses, right?
Yeah, and I still, again, Get Rich or Die Trying went fucking platinum. So there's major bangers on that first album alone. Now, in terms of who has more hits, I think Ja Rule does have more hits. I think the biggest factor in their beef that nobody ever talks about is timing. 50 came into the game at a time when everybody was so, quote unquote, soft. He was the guy who was left field. And he had the actual backstory to back up the image that he was presenting. A lot of dudes, even to this day, a lot of dudes come on music and try to talk tough about what they're doing in the streets. When you got a guy who actually was shot, got the bullet wounds to prove it, got the backstory of people talking about what this guy was in the street, it gives a certain validity to it that somebody else who's just talking, who don't have the backstory. A prime example, right? Like you and I clown about it. Fat Joe be telling these wild outlandish stories, right? Now, somebody who's not from New York, they don't know Fat Joe was really in the street. Am I saying everything Fat Joe said is true? No, I'm not saying everything he said is true. But there's a lot of things that are true because Fat Joe was really in the street. So when people understand that aspect of it and they know, like, yo, he ain't just talking out his ass. Now it changes things. So the image of 50 Cent was so different at the time. Who else was coming out with bulletproof vests?
See, that's the thing. That's what it was. Like that's what I'm saying. He was an act and not an artist.
No, but I think it
But
wasn't
I mean,
because that's who he
no, I'm
really
saying
was.
he got shot, but it was the act of
It
this
was,
dude that got shot. It wasn't about. It was never about this dude's ill MC or
but
hit
again,
maker. None of that. It
all
was
right, but hold
always
on.
about the other stuff.
The timing of it though is what made it so impactful because the rest of the game nobody was doing that. It's just like when Jeezy hit the scene. Is Jeezy the most lyrical dude ever? Hell no. But when Jeezy hit the scene and the way he was talking on those records, it was a breath of fresh air in comparison to what everybody else was doing. When Jeezy hit the scene, everybody from Atlanta was doing White Tee and Laffy Taffy, that type of music. Jeezy came in the game doing real street certified music. And then when you heard the backstory, it was like, nah, Jeezy was really out here. This is what Jeezy got pictures with BMF. He was hanging with BMF. He was really moving and doing things. The same thing with 50. Was it super lyrical? Hell no. 50 might be one of the weakest lyricists out of New York. He damn sure was the weakest in his own camp. But in terms of the validity of who he was in the street, like I said, nobody could ever question that. Because there was dudes that was like, nah, this is who he is. This is not some, I want y'all to think I'm tough. This is who the motherfucker really is. He was really out here getting in shootouts and got shot. He was out here getting stabbed. He was out here getting into fights with cats. He was really putting in the work that he talked about. And that was so different from Ja Rule. Not to say Ja Rule wasn't street, but what Ja Rule was rapping about was on a softer level. Ja Rule was more LL. He was doing things for the ladies. And did we like the music? Absolutely. But 50 was so different. It was so left field what he was doing with his crew that I think people gravitated towards it. And you're right, though. The machine held back because if he signs a record deal at another label and doesn't get the production of Dre on his first album, it may never go nowhere. He may just be a super street rapper who just never took off. But having a production of Dre behind you is going to help. It's going to help sell it. I mean, motherfucking In the Club is one of the biggest records ever in hip hop to this day. Motherfuckers play that that became like an unofficial birthday anthem. You know what I'm saying? So I think Ja got better hits, but I would never say that, oh, he just got to play 5 songs. Nah, because if 50 played In the Club, if he played Many Men, if he start playing some of these joints that's like real big bangers, it's like, nah, 50 got joints. I just don't think he can hang with Ja Rule over the course of 20 songs. It's almost like the analogy of like a boxer versus a puncher. The puncher got a shot the first couple rounds, but once the boxer starts settling in and start boxing his ass, he probably going to win over the course of 12 rounds. Same thing with Ja. It's so many hits back to back that by the time we get to song 7 and 8, now 50 them probably faded now. But Ja probably still got a whole other 10 quality joints that he could play on the verses.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Josh's features are crazy.
Yeah,
Josh's features could go against 50's singles.
That's the biggest. That's one of the biggest advantages that Ja or anybody would have against 50 because 50 don't have features.
Ja can be coming with like, can I get a what's love? Right. I mean, Ja got some. That's
what I'm saying. Appearances. And anybody could say that about 50 because 50 don't have great features. 50 was, like I said, to himself. If it wasn't G Unit, if it wasn't 50, what was 50 ever featured on?
Nothing.
I think
everybody was getting on 50 stuff to make 50 songs better. The remixes were better.
People was working with 50 on his shit, but in terms of the other way around, I mean, his biggest feature is probably Hated to Love It with Game, which is a song he wrote himself.
Yeah.
I know he had a verse on that Missy Elliott Minuteman joint, but he doesn't have like great features.
Yeah.
So I think, we're about to wrap it up right now. Give me a final thought, then we wrap it up.
Final thought. Oh, with the Giannis thing that got sprung on us, man.
Yeah, man.
If he's,
I sent you the video.
Oh, did you? So it's an Achilles? Did it look like it?
It was a non-contact. He was running and immediately went down. He grabbed the back of his ankle, and then he started slamming his hand
You
on
know
the
what
floor.
that
He was
is.
frustrated. Yeah. They're gonna try
Well,
to call it a calf strain, but it looked like it was the Achilles.
that goes all that trade talk.
Yeah, that's a wrap on that.
Wow. All right, man. I'll give it to you.
All right,
Much
bro.
love, you.
As always, shout out to the supporters. We will be back next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. In the meantime, in between time, make sure you lock in as well on Monday, 7 p.m. Real Fans, Real Talk. Make sure you subscribe, comment, share, like, send us questions in. Continue to interact with us. We greatly appreciate it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. For my brother, Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. This was the Sanchez Show, and we will see you guys next week, man. Enjoy your weekend. We out of here.